ونستعينه ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Alhamdulillah, we are here. We're like right past the middle of Sha'ban. So maybe it's what, the 16th or the 17th? Is it 17th today of Sha'ban? At any rate, we're past the center of the middle of Sha'ban. Ramadan is like right around the corner. Okay? So what we're going to do from now on, everything else is ended. Nothing, we're not doing anything except for we're going to finish your class. But besides that, we're going to be reviewing what we need to do for Ramadan. Why? Because Ramadan is a pillar in Islam. Okay? It's a pillar in Islam, and there's only 5 pillars in Islam, right? What do we mean by a pillar? It's a foundational issue in Islam. So, when you think of Ramadan, what do you initially think of? First thing that comes to your mind, yell it out.
Fasting.
Fasting. That's what most people think about when they think about Ramadan. Let's write that down. First thing people think about when they think about Ramadan is fasting. Okay? Ramadan. But under Ramadan is so much more than fasting. Okay? When we talk about foundations. What's the first subject matter in fiqh?
Purification.
Tahara. Okay? Tahara. Tahara is the first thing in fiqh, right? The first issue in fiqh. It's in part of Ramadan. Okay? What's the next issue in fiqh? What's the next issue in fiqh? Salah. Salah is a part and under Ramadan. Don't you know we pray the Taraweeh? Right? The Qiyam, the night prayer. So it's an issue under Ramadan. You see how great Ramadan is? Okay, it encompasses fasting. But not just fasting. It encompasses tahara. Don't you know that, okay, in order to pray, you have to be in a state of wudu, right? Tahara. Also, if you wake up and you're in a state of junub, meaning you just had intercourse with your spouse, right? And you wake up, can you fast? Yes, you can fast. For those people that don't know, if you wake up in a state of junub after sleeping with your wife, and it's time to fast in Ramadan, and you made the intention to fast in Ramadan, you can begin. You can eat your suhoor and start your fasting, and then take a ghusl. Okay? Or if you missed the time for salah, let's say, for example, or you can get up, eat something, make your ghusl, and then go out and pray. Or if you wake up late and you're in a state of junub and you missed the time for the fajr, and you can just make a ghusl. You don't eat now because you missed the time for suhoor, but you're fasting. Do you understand that? So we have to know how the issues of tahara that correspond. Don't you see when a woman is menstruating or she gives birth, postnatal bleeding, she stops because of that, and that is an issue of tahara. So that too is part of what? Ramadan. What else is an issue in Ramadan? Somebody talk to me. Talk to me about the issues in Ramadan. Okay, now a side issue, I want to say this right here. Ramadan has some special things. I'm talking about the general things. There are special things for Ramadan. Because you have fasting in general, but also we have qira'ah. Okay? We have qira'ah in Ramadan. Al-qira'ah means reading. The reading of the Quran. That is something specific and special for Ramadan that doesn't happen like that in any other month, where people yataharra, they race and they rush to read the Quran as much as possible. Reading the Quran many, many, many times over. You know, the issue with reciting the Quran, this is the month of the Quran. And the reason why we want to talk about these things right now is because many people wait until Ramadan has started to start thinking about these things. And then they miss half of Ramadan and the things that you're supposed to do. We're supposed to prepare now. And preparing is not like planning. You know, planning is a thought, okay? Preparing are actions that you do now before Ramadan begins. And you can't do that unless you consider all that is to be considered about Ramadan. You know, you guys with me? You understand what I'm saying? So the special thing that reading happens during Ramadan, some people would think that these were fables, the type of reading. If I was to say that normally, I know people who normally finish the Quran 10 times in Ramadan. You believe that or not? You would believe that. The young man believes it. Some people think this is impossible because they haven't tried it. But if they try it, they'll realize it's an easy thing, very easy thing to do. Okay? And you just have to set yourself up to do it. Okay? You just have to set yourself up to complete the Quran like that. And we're going to help you, inshallah ta'ala, to do that. So what are some of the other things that are tied to Ramadan? Another thing that is general. Give me a marker. Throw this one away. Thank you. One of the other things that's tied to Ramadan is what? Zakah. Right? You see how these are all, well, Tahara is applied to Salah, but these are two fundamentals in Islam, right? So under this fundamental of Ramadan, we have two other fundamentals that are touched upon. Okay? Two other fundamentals that are touched upon, and Ramadan itself is touching on fasting. Okay? It's touching on reciting the Quran. It's touching upon making it a religious, retreat. What do we call this religious retreat? I'tikaf, right? Coming to the masjid and staying and making it. So these things are special to Ramadan. Okay? These two things here, 1 and 2. But these three things are general to every time. And again, this is something that what we consider what it is. And most people just think of that right there. And if they can get through that alone, they think they've done what Ramadan is. Ramadan is much more than fasting. Much more than fasting. It is the month where we increase our iman in the manner that you can most increase it. The ulama have taught us that if we look at the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the history of the Prophet and his companions, we will note that whenever there was a problem, whenever there was an issue that affected the Prophet and his companions, what did Allah do, Ibrahim? What happened? What did Allah do? Sent down more Quran. Okay? Whenever something happened, Allah sent the relief through sending down more revelation. Right? So the ulama say this increased their iman. Right? It alleviated the problem and increased. Even when they said that the Prophet's wife Aisha was an adulteress. Right? That's what they said. What did Allah's messenger do? He waited for revelation. Right? And what did Aisha do? She said, I'm waiting for my Lord to vindicate me with some revelation. This is what we're doing. So the ulama have said to us, have shown us, rahimahumullah wa hafidhuhumullah, that the only thing that can increase your, not the only thing, the thing that can increase your iman the most in this day and time is reading the Quran. That thing can increase your iman the most. There is nothing left in this deen that can increase your iman as much as reading Quran. What did Allah tell us? Allah tells us in the Quran that you're khayrul ummatu ukhrijat linnas, the best ummah that is brought out from all the different ummahs that have come before. The best people of all the people are the Muslims. And what did he say? Khayrukum sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What the Prophet say? The best of you is the one who learns the Quran, right? And teaches it. So that's khair ala khair, the best of the best. You guys get the point here? So by reading that Quran and becoming more familiar with it, you become the best of the best. Right? Do you understand? Not only that, you're reading it while you're fasting. And we know when you're fasting, you're in a more clearer state of mind. You're in a purer sense spiritually. So you're more able, and your mind and your heart is more accessible and easy to be reached. And then you end it off with this religious retreat, this i'tikaf, where we say there's no monkdom, there's no monasticism in Islam, meaning you don't come and live in a monastery? A monastery, meaning you live inside the church or live inside the masjid or the mosque, or the religious center, and you don't worry about what's going on around you. They might start driving flying cars, but you're living in here and you're just worshiping. That doesn't exist in Islam. No, that's not true. It doesn't exist every day, but it does exist. It exists in what we call i'tikaf. When you make that oath to Allah to spend a day, a half a day, some hours in i'tikaf. And a lot of people leave this sunnah of i'tikaf because they think it has to be 10 days. It has to be a day. It doesn't. It has to be what you swore to do. You might say, I'm going to make i'tikaf in the masjid from this hour to that hour. Whatever you swear for it to be, it is. The little of it and the big of it. The same reason people don't do Qiyam al-Layl. Another thing that we have during Ramadan that we were talking about, the Salat al-Tarawih, right, is the standing at night, right, that should be going on all year round, right? What do we call it all year round? Tahajjud. Say it, guys. Tahajjud. Right. And what do we call it during the middle of the night? I mean, during the Ramadan? Qiyam al-Layl or Tarawih, the resting. Jahada is to be up at night, and the Tarawih is the resting period. You know, be sitting, the long sittings that we do between. So we need to understand the sunnah of all these things and the regulations for them so that we can prepare for it. And not only that, not just prepare for it, what is the benefit of knowledge? This is where we're at, people. We are beyond having some soapbox preacher or imam stand there screaming fire and brimstone. Okay? We're at a stage now where we have to take all this information age that we live in and utilize. Knowledge demands what? Action. What? Actions. Action. Knowledge demands action. So now we're not just going to know this thing from a theoretical point of view. We're going to practice this thing and prepare for this Ramadan and get ready for it. And as you, the beautiful thing about the Islamic calendar is that as Ramadan starts? What season starts? Who can tell me? Fall. Hajj season. Don't tell me fall. Hajj season starts and begins with Ramadan. Okay? So it's preparing us. It's preparing us. So as we prepare for Ramadan and we get into the swing of things, we should also be getting our mindset to make that Umrah or to make that Hajj. Okay? And if we can't go, if every last one of us can't go, this is where we have to start acting like a community, a common unit, one unit, as a bunch of just pieces of the same unit. Ibn Uthaymeen, he used to teach us, rahimahullah, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, he used to tell us, go over, adrik, it's a usul al-fiqh principle. Overcome what you can't do, all of it, by doing most of it. What did he mean by that? What is that principle played out? If I can't go make Hajj or Umrah, but I can give him $100, and he can get $100 from everybody in the community, and we can send one person to make Hajj from our community, then that's what we need to do. But it shouldn't be here in the United States that every masjid doesn't have somebody, and every Muslim isn't helping someone go to Hajj. And I'm not saying it's a free trip. No. I'm saying that, let's say we have 10 brothers here. Go to those brothers who went and made Hajj and get them to give you $10, $100 a piece. So now you got $1,000. And then go to 20 other brothers who can't make Hajj this year and make a promise with them that, hey, for the next 20 years or however long it takes, we're all going to put whatever money we got forward so we can send one of us 20. And then pick a straw. You know, draw lots to see who goes and then send them. We can't do that? We can do that. And that's some barakah. So then every year, what do you get? You get the barakah. You get the barakah of helping somebody make that Hajj. Okay? You complete your deen. Okay? Because these are pillars. These are the things that we're starting to think of, and you start doing that now. Why? Because during Ramadan, people come out of the woodwork. Okay? They start coming to the masjid. And you're going to see the people that you didn't see before and that you didn't see since last year. And so now we have to try to keep them together. And so it's an encouragement for brothers to be on their best behavior during Ramadan. I wrote some things down I wanted to remind people to do during Ramadan. One of the things I want you to do now, before Ramadan comes, is, let me see, make sure I got everything else. Okay, there's another aspect here that I didn't mention, is dua. Dua. Dua has a special place during Ramadan also. What do I mean by dua? You know, we have the dua qunut that we have during the nighttime or during the day. You should be making a lot of dua. So we need to learn those authentic dua to make during Ramadan and outside of Ramadan, but we increase in them. So these are things that we hurry up and do a lot more, and we be competitive with it during Ramadan. That's one thing. Outside of that, how do we prepare for Ramadan? Take this off the board. What I want you to do to prepare for Ramadan is, first and foremost, I want you to go shopping. Okay? You see, you have to do this zakat. This is called zakat al-fitra. What is it called? Zakat al-fitr. Zakat al-fitr is a word that means like breakfast, iftar. Okay? Now, in order for you to pay your zakat al-fitr, some people say, oh, it's $7 a hand. No, it's not $7. That's called zakat al-mal. There's two types of zakat. There's a zakat on your wealth, and they accept this with dinar wa darahim, meaning dollars and cents. And there's a zakat on your food that you take at the end of Ramadan. Okay? Now that cannot be done with money, though it costs money. You have to go and get some staple foods. What is staple foods? Who can tell me? Rice, flours, wheat. You know, this is dried raisins, dried yogurt, but we don't use dried yogurt that much. We don't even use dried raisins and dried barley that much. But in this country, we use rice, we use flour, we use, what is that stuff called? Seminola, what is that, spaghetti? We use these things, and a staple is any food you can sit up in your house, a dry goods, and it can stay the whole year. It won't go spoiled. It won't get spoiled. Not get some ants in it or something like that, so you got to keep it safe. So these staple foods, you buy them now. Do not wait for Ramadan. You buy them now. Why? Because when Ramadan comes, you don't want to be distracted doing anything else but your worship. Okay? You buy the food that you need for Ramadan for you to eat now, except for the things that are going to go bad. And then you get those when you need to get those things. Okay? This is what your mission statement and your marching orders are for right now. Go to the store, get these things. How much wheat and rice do you need? For every person in the household, I think it's 2.5 pounds or something like that, or 2.5 kilos or something. I forget what it is. I think it's 2.5 kilos per person in a household that you have to do. I'm going to give you the exact number. I think it's 1 sa'a. I know that, but I forget what a sa'a is, or mud with the hands. But it's a 1 sa'a, actually. So I forget the exact number. Could you go ask the imam what the, no, Ibrahim, ask him what the number is a sa'a for is it 2.5 kilos or 2.5 pounds? I forget. He's going to tell us right now. Actually, but so you go get some rice, and you have to do that for every person in the household. 1 sa'a for even the baby. You have to do it for the baby in the household. Okay? So that, and everybody you're responsible for. So if you have old people that you are responsible for, okay, you take care of them, you have to pay for their zakat as long as they're Muslim. Zakat al-fitr. Okay, so we want you to get that now. Some of the other things that we want you to do is we want you to go ahead and, whatever you're going to buy, oil, the perfume, buy it now. We want you to do all your shopping, trim your nails, get your underarms and your private parts clean, get some grease so you can put on your face. Because when you're fasting, we want you to put grease on your face. Come forward. We want you to put grease on your face and everything. Why? Because when you're fasting, we don't want you to look like you're fasting. We don't want you to be all sucked up. What's the matter? Everybody says, oh, he's fasting. Look at him. Ugh. No. We put grease on our face. We oil our hair. We get our best clothes on. We iron them, people. You know, it's not, the Muslims shouldn't be walking around looking like, the rag man. You know, if he's got it like that, then he puts patches on his clothes, but at least he's clean and ironed, So, and if the masjid if you don't have an iron, every masjid should have an iron. Then for the people to come in, iron their clothes. Okay, you should smell really good during Ramadan. This is something that is always spoken about. During Ramadan, you're going to be around people. Take a bath all the time. If you're fasting and you take a bath, just don't put the water in your mouth. Okay, it'll cool you. You can take a bath when you're fasting as long as you don't drink the water. Okay, your body's not going to absorb the water to the extent that you break your fast. The other thing is, we suggest to the different imams to make shorter khutbahs during Ramadan, because the masjid is going to be filled. We suggest that you don't start on time. You start a little later, but keep the khutbah shorter, because you're going to have more people coming to the masjid, and we want to encourage them to keep coming. We know since they're there, you want to give a longer khutbah, because you don't get to talk to them so much, but it's from the wisdom to make the khutbah short and make the salah longer. And so we say give it a little bit more time, delay it a little bit to let the masjids fill up with the people and to give them a time to to get there and sit down and make their dhikr and their salah. And make the salah actually the same time. We ask the brothers that those people who have not memorized Quran, we have a suggestion for you. These little Qurans, these little ones like this, these are not for people who have not memorized Quran. What did I say?
That little Quran are not for people who
Right.
haven't memorized.
These are not. When you talk to the people, the teachers, they say these are not for people who have not memorized Quran. The writing is very small. It's for the people who've memorized Quran, who pretty much know what's there, okay? And they're just being reminded by that, okay? So don't use these. Rather, you should get one that is medium size, something like this, and you could put a cover on it or something like that, and you keep it with you. We suggest you don't carry it in your left hand or under your waist. You know, it's just from the adab of honoring the Quran. And you sit down and you open up and you read it. The whole month, we want you to read the Quran. We don't want you to think about reading the Quran one time. We want you to get to the idea that the Muslim does as much as he can and he falls back on the Sunnah. Meaning when he can't do anything else, then at least he did the Sunnah. You don't do 5 salah every day. You do as much salah as you can every day, and when you're the tiredest, you had the worst day ever, your time was all jacked up, then you only prayed 5 times. Do you understand the concept? You fall back on the Sunnah. So, that being the case, we suggest in that, and we suggest you put a cover on it because you're going to be around a lot of people with your mushaf, and you don't want it to get dirty. You don't want to put it someplace. Just make sure that the cover that you get doesn't have pictures or anything haram on it, and it doesn't hurt the Quran for you to put those covers on them. One of the other things that we want you to do, we want you to remind you that there's no burning of incense in the masjid during Ramadan, though you can wear oil. Again, buying the things that you need for suhoor. You're buying the things that you need for your iftar. If you're going to do iftar, again, here goes the issue. If you cannot afford to pay for an iftar at your masjid, okay? There's no thing in Islam saying you have to pay for an iftar. But it's a communal thing. You come, you eat the iftar. Don't just give $5 when you come to the masjid. Get with you young brothers, especially black brothers. You go and get with some other brothers, and 3 or 4 you guys, and you between 3 or 4 brothers should be able to come up with an iftar for themselves and bring it to the masjid. Stop this welfare idea of just coming to the masjid and eating the iftar that everybody else comes, and you never come and bring an iftar or come and put part of the iftar. You just give your $5 like you bought a meal. No, it's not that type of thing. We need to grow up and be men. Okay? And if you can't do it by yourself, which is okay, you know, being financially, poor is not a sin. It's not a crime, However, but not standing up and doing the things that men do, this is something that is blameworthy. So we suggest if 2 can do it, then 2 do it. If it's a hardship, then do it with 3. If it's still a hardship, then do it with 4, 5, 6, however many you need to do it. But come together and start providing the things that you need for the community, like the iftars. And don't just go there and eat them. Okay, astaghfirullah al-azim. These are the things that we wanted to mention with regards to getting yourself mentally prepared for Ramadan at this point. Do you have any questions about any of this? Yes, sir.
What is tahara?
What is tahara? Tahara is purification. Okay? It's not really we can't even call it purification just like that one word. But it's as a title, refers to the subject matter in fiqh of purification, like making wudu, taking a ghusl, the legal bath, and those type of issues. And since you came in late, these are the things that we were talking about are under the title of Ramadan. Ramadan encompasses fasting, not just fasting, but purification. Okay? Because this purification, not only is tahara, it's tazkiyah also. You're purifying your soul. Okay? Rejuvenating your spirit. Okay? But we're here, we mentioned it with regards to when you wake up in the morning, if you had intercourse with your wife, you're still fasting. You just have to make tahara. You just have to make your ghusl. Okay? Salah, we're talking about the qiyamul layl, standing at night, the taraweeh. Okay? And zakat al-fitr, this is not money. This is foodstuffs that you have to bring, dried foods. And you have to deliver them. Okay, there's this idea with zakat al-fitr, people want to take the zakat and bring it to the masjid and drop it off. Dead it. This is the wrong idea. Okay? This is incorrect. You do not bring your zakat. You don't have anything. See, we have to start remembering, we live in a legal system. Islam is a legal system that we are bound, our deen, our oath is that we've sworn to live by this particular code way of life. You know, guys are martial artists and they understand the Bushido, the way of the warrior and the way of the samurai and all this, and the guys in the military way, the political way, the civil servant way. But you can't understand the Islamic way. You are bound to do certain things. There is nowhere in the legal law of Islam where you come and drop the zakat al-fitr at the masjid. You don't have anything where any Sahaba, Tabi'in, or any of them did that. Rather, they delivered it to the poor people. What does that mean? That shows you that the concept for the individuals to find out who are the people that need. Well, I don't know. Then find out. It's responsible for you to find out. You should know the people in your community. You can't be so removed from the community that you don't know any poor people. You know? You still have such a lofty idea. Oh, I don't know any of the poor people here. I'll just go give it to the masjid. No, it's not like that, guys. You know? Find out who the poor people are. At the worst thing, go to the imam, get their address, go to their house, put it in front of the door, bang the door and run back to your Mercedes and drive off. Okay? That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Just don't park in front of Marcy. They might drive off before you get back. Yes.
Also,
no us. I'm not talking to you. Go ahead, sir.
Is this a point to mention the Laylatul Qadr, the night of power? Or?
Yes, Laylatul Qadr is all tied to standing the night. We're going to deal with that.
Okay.
In Jazakallah khair. Laylatul Qadr is a special night, but it's dealing with the salah and the dua. Okay, it's tied to these two things right here. Okay. Yes. No, guys are cousins. Yeah, just what I said.
also, when or how much is it every single day we give the zakat fitr during the day, during the month of Ramadan?
No.
Okay.
The question is, do we give zakat al-fitr every day in Ramadan? No. You give zakat al-fitr, some people, when we get to that, we'll talk about it in detail. But you can start giving zakat al-fitr during the last days of Ramadan. Okay? Some people say, you know, Imam Malik said there's room in this. Some people start with the last 3 days. Some people start after they went to the prayer. Some people do it right before they go to the prayer.
Is there a particular amount?
Yes, there is. You came late. Again, it's a sa'ah. Ibrahim was supposed to find out, but he didn't knock the door loud enough. Could you go find out for me how much a sa'ah is? You know, Jazakallah khair. There's a certain amount. It's called a sa'ah. I think it's 2.5 kilos per person in your household. But I don't know. I forget the number. We'll deal with it. This is just a preview.
It has to be a poor person. It can't be just somebody in your family.
No, it can't be anybody you're responsible to take care of. You can't give it to your wife or your children. It doesn't have to be a stranger. It could be your cousin. You're not responsible for your cousin. Okay? It could be your brother-in-law. You're not responsible for him, but you know he doesn't have a job. Okay? And he's poor. You know, so you can go give it to him. Poor means that he doesn't have everything that he needs to take care of himself. It doesn't have to be a destitute person. That's something different. Okay? It could be a poor person. And it should be a Muslim. This concept that it goes outside the Muslim community is contrary to Islam. Okay? It first goes to the Muslims. Once you can take care of the Muslims, then you take care of those next to them. Even though your neighbor that's there, the physical neighbor, has a right over you, you still go to the Muslims first. Do you understand that? And you should figure out, you know, who the poor people are. You should visit them. This whole concept means that we should be mixing together. Okay? Those that have, I'm about to stop, Makeem. Those that have and those that have not. You know, so that you know which ones are which. Okay, cool. Why don't you get behind the thing right? Okay. See, the imam, yeah, I think it's half a kilo. Okay, I think it's half a kilo. What do you call it? But I forget. I'll just look it up in a few moments. Anyway, like the imam said, it's 3 handfuls. You know, which is the best way to do it. To be honest with you, okay, it's 3 handfuls like that. So just get that. This is what I had to. You had another question, right? No ums. I can't take the questions from you and get off my radiator. Yes, ma'am. You do not deliver money. Did I say zakatul mal? No, I did not. I said zakatul fitra, foodstuffs, dried foodstuffs, not wet goods. Okay? Foodstuffs. Okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay? So, that's what it is. Ataraf as-sa'. لا لسه ساعة المد كم في إنجليزي؟
الصاع.
نعم.
الصاع يعني باليد.
نعم باليد كم في كيل؟ نص كيل؟ كيل؟
Like that, you know.
مثل نص كيل. Okay, we'll find out. He said, the Imam said 3 hands. The brother says it's like half a kilo, which is like, what is it, pound and a half, 2 pounds or something like that?
It's like a pint or a half a pint.
We'll find out. I have it written down, but I always forget. I don't know. Alhamdulillah. Yes, sir.
I was told in getting ready for the Zakat al-Fitr that it was just, I can't remember the amount of hands I was told, but it's the hands of the hand.
Yeah, there's different. Yeah, but so you don't know. Okay, he says, is it the hand of Hisham or the hand of this other thing like that? We don't know that today. Okay, which is the hand of Hisham, which is doing for kafara, which is bigger. But you know, in overflowing right now, that we're not there for that because we can't determine that now. Okay, what we worry about is the approximation. Wattaqullah mastata'tum. Fear Allah as much as you can. Okay, that issue about if it's the hand of the Hisham or is it the hand of the other one, no. Make it simple and we'll deal with the other because you feel Allah as much as you can. Yes, sir. No.
About the reading of the Quran.
Reading of the Quran, what about it?
Yeah, like reading it more.
Should read it more.
Yes. I read somewhere that Muhammad advised somebody not to read the Quran less than 7 days.
No. He said he read someplace that someone told him that the Prophet ﷺ told somebody not to read the Quran in less than 7 days. Rather, the hadith says that he told him, it's Abdullah bin Amr ibn al-As, he told him, radiyallahu anhu, not to read the Quran in less than 3 days. Less than 3 days. Okay? Because after that, he said you have not read it. So, at least 3 days. That means completing the Quran in 3 days. Okay? So, do not complete the Quran in less than 3 days. Okay, it's 30 juz. So every day you read 10 juz. Okay, you can complete the Quran in 3 days. Every day you read 10 juz of Quran, you complete the Quran in 3 days. You can do that.
But no more and no less than 3 days.
Don't do it less than 3 days. Don't do it in 2 days. Okay? Do it in 3 days. If you can do it in 3 days, do it in 3 days. It's good. You know, most people do it in a week. Most of the Sahaba, most of the Tabi'een and the Tabi'een, they used to complete the Quran in 1 week. 7 days. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. And then other than that, they used to do 2 weeks. And then other than that, they used to do a month. Okay? Some of them said that they wouldn't do less than a month, but others said that they used to do it in 2 months. Okay? So, what I have, the strongest is that they used to do it in 7 days. The normal person would do it in 7 days. Today, we don't expect that from people because most of the people can't hardly read that well. So we're going to move them to the point where they can read well. And then we start expecting them to read in a month or 2 months. And then by and by. We have made hijrah from the Quran in this country as a people. And hijrah from the Quran is that we're not reading it. You know, we're not reading it, we don't understand it, and we don't even study the sciences of the Quran. So hopefully, for the most part, you can go to any place all in America and you can say, okay, how many classes are there? Would you doubt that there's about 500 classes a week in the United States? That's not a large number compared to all the states in the United States, right? And all the different masajid and everything like that. Let's just throw that out there, 500. You know? How many of those classes do you think are in the sciences of Quran? Very few. Just think about here in New York. How many classes do they have about the sciences of Quran, let alone tafsir and these types of things? It's rare. It comes, but it doesn't come that often. You know, and there are reasons for that, but the main reason is that we've made hijrah from the Quran and the science of the Quran. وَمَا يُعِينُ حِفْظُ الْقُرْآنِ. I mean, there is hifz of Quran. People are memorizing the Quran. People are putting attention to memorizing the Quran, but not on the same scale as you see people rushing towards hadith or rushing towards different fiqh or rushing for aqidah and these different things. You know, some of the scholars say one book of fiqh in Riyadh is studied more than the whole Quran anywhere else. You know, meaning that if you go to Riyadh, where there's a whole bunch of lessons, you find them studying in different places one particular book of fiqh or one particular book of hadith. But where are they studying the Quran? And this is in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. So what about the United States? So we have to change that. We have to change that. And Ramadan is the time to change it. Ramadan is the starting point for doing that. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم. What time is the iqamah?